Okay, I can now start. Good morning, students. You are highly welcome to this lecture. The course we are handling now is philosophy and logic. I have introduced this course before, but I want to review some of the things we have done so far before we proceed with new topics. Let's begin with the meaning of philosophy. Philosophy, in general term or general conception of it, is a kind of belief, is a belief, people's belief, organizational belief, individual belief. So philosophy, in a general term, is used to characterize worldview or belief of an individual, organization, or group, or community. So in this sense, you'll be hearing people saying, this is my philosophy of life. Some organization will say that the philosophy of this, our organization. So in this sense, philosophy is used as a kind of belief. Then philosophy, in a professional sense, is more than that. It is not just a people's belief. But before we move to philosophy in a professional sense, I want to examine the etymological meaning of philosophy. The word philosophy came from two Latin words etymologically, filio and sophia. Filio and sophia. Filio and sophia. And what is filio and what is sophia? Filio means love, sophia means wisdom. Can you say filio, love, sophia, wisdom? So in that sense, philosophy in etymological term of it means love of wisdom. Love of wisdom. So, what is wisdom? In ancient time, a wise man is that person that seeks to know the truth, the reality as it is. That is a wise man. Therefore, from that concept, you can see that philosophy means the search for truth. Search for truth. Search for truth. So from this etymological concept of philosophy, we can now move to the professional sense of it. So professional sense of philosophy, philosophy as an academic discipline means a course or system of inquiry that focuses on clarification and critical examination of our concepts, belief, theories, assumptions, values, practices with the aim of finding out the truth, their aim. With the aim of finding out the truth, their aim. So it is that a course of study that clarifies, that examines our concepts, our belief, that is that people's ideology. It examines our concept, the concept we use, the language, the terminologies we use. It examines our belief or ideology of people. It examines practices, assumptions, our value systems or practices with the aim of finding out the truth in it. Are you getting it? You see how we have moved from etymological understanding to professional meaning of it. For example, somebody may believe there is God. But philosophy will examine whether there is God using instrumentality of logic and systematic reasoning. A theologian may believe there is God, quoting scriptures, but philosophy will examine whether there is God using instrumentality of logic and systematic reasoning. So you find that philosophy is not just a belief, it is more than that. It examines, critically analyze with the aim of finding out the truth therein. The question you may ask me is why that in philosophy we have a lot of confusions, a lot of issues. Somebody will argue that there is God. Another person will argue there is no God. Why is this so? It is true, since the instrumentality we are using in philosophy is human instrument, human reasoning. There must be errors and the sentiment must come in. You cannot exaggerate that one. So that is why in philosophy there is a lot of arguments. It is different from science. Science use scientific apparatus, instruments that are not human. And that is why the result we get in science is more objective than the result you will get in philosophy. Because human reasoning at times are being corrupted by prejudices, past experiences. That is why that human reasoning cannot produce the truth. Not always. It doesn't always produce the truth, because many a times there must be error in reasoning. So you don't, as I introduce you to philosophy, you don't just believe everything you meet in philosophy. So I advise you as a student, not everything that is told to you in this course that you believe, because it is just most of them are mere exercise of thoughts. Let us look at some definitions of philosophy by some philosophers. Onyebo, for example, define philosophy as a form of rational activity. Rational activity. Rational means activity that is done with reasoning. Rational activity. A critical examination of all reality, of all areas of human experience, including man himself. Of all areas of human experiences, including man himself. So it means using reasoning, human reasoning, to examine all reality, all areas of human reality, even man himself. Bertrand Russell defined philosophy as a no man's land between science and religion. No man's land between science and religion. Science has to do with, as I told you, experimentation using scientific instruments. It makes its inquiries using scientific instruments. Are you getting me? So, but religion has to do with belief. So between science and the religion, there is a gap, and philosophy attempts to fill that gap, and that gap is using your rationality to examine issue. You are not just believing. You are not believing, just believing. You are not just doing experiment. You are now using your reasoning, your logic to examine the issue at hand. So, as a philosophy, you have to subject everything to rational and the critical examination, and then you reach conclusion. And the discourse is philosophy and logic. So logic is an instrument of reasoning. Logic is a course in philosophy that teaches you how to reason correctly in order to reduce errors and fallacies in reasoning. It is principles of what? Reasoning. Guidelines. Principles that will guide your reasoning process so that you will be able to reduce errors and fallacies and get at the reality. So do you see the relationship between philosophy and logic? Though we have to focus our attention first on philosophy. After teaching you many things about philosophy, then I will move into logic. So maybe by next 3 weeks, this week, next week, and another, I will be through with philosophy. Then I move into logic. I will teach you elementary logic. Some of the things that you must apply in reasoning, doing your reasoning. As a lawyer or a would-be lawyer, you need logic to argue out your cases in a systematic manner. And that is why, as a lawyer, you must do this philosophy and logic so that it will help you in practicing your profession. So, I have given you the definition according to Bertrand Russell. Then, according to Socrates, philosophy is a critical self-examination. A critical self-examination. A critical self-examination of the principles of the good, happy and just life. Happy and just life. This is why his popular dictum is unexamined life is not worthy living. So for Socrates, philosophy means a critical self-examination of the principle of the good, happy and just life. How do you live a good life? So he conceived philosophy from ethical point of view. Then, according to Epicurus, an ancient philosopher, Epicurus, it is an activity which secures the happy life by means of discussion and argument. Jot it down. According to Epicurus, it is an activity which secures. It is an activity which secures the happy life by means of discussion and the argument. So for him, philosophy is a kind of activity that makes one happy by means of a discussion and the argument. You have to discuss, you have to argue. So that is it. So once you are doing philosophy, be ready for to argue, to discuss and argue. According to Plato, philosophy is the love for truth. So his understanding of a philosophy is emanated from a etymological point of view. Philosophy is the love for truth. It is this love for truth that will make you a student of philosophy or a philosopher to always search for the truth. You don't just believe things that you hear or things that are told to you. You have to examine, search, analyze, argue to find out the truth. Question issues, argue issues, criticize, ask questions. What is the truth of this thing that is told me? You have to examine to find out the truth. So it is love for truth. It is this love for truth that will make a philosopher to always ask questions Responses that are not rational can be discarded. You do away with it. Before you believe anything, it must be coherent, it must rhyme with human reasoning, it must be logical. So it is a search, a love for truth. And this love for truth makes the philosopher to always ask questions, to always inquire, criticize, analyze, in order to get at the root of the matter. That is why a true philosopher don't just believe what others believe. You believe what is rational and what is coherent and what conforms to your reasoning. Then, according to Aristotle, philosophy is an inquiry into the first principles and causes of things. Philosophy is an inquiry into the first principles and causes of things, finding the source of things. And according to Wiredu, philosophy is an intellectual foundation of our life. It is the intellectual foundations of our life, interrogating and evaluating the foundations of our belief and our actions. So philosophy, put it down, is the intellectual foundation of our life, interrogating and evaluating the foundations of our belief and actions. So it interrogates the foundation of whatever we believe, whatever ideologies that are presented to you and your actions, to find out the truth and what is right and what is wrong and what ought to be. So that is the purpose of philosophy. So we can conclude, when you examine all these definitions, you can say that philosophy is a critical inquiry. Philosophy is a critical inquiry into the foundations of our belief, perceptions, and actions, with the aim of finding out their logical consistencies, truth values, and merits, in bracket, whether they are good or bad. So when you examine all these definitions, you can conclude by saying that philosophy is a critical inquiry into the foundations of our belief, perceptions, and actions, with the aim of finding out their logical consistencies, truth values, and merits. And when we talk of merit, in bracket, we mean whether that actions or that belief or that perception is good or bad. We have branches of philosophy. I want us to move to branches of philosophy, major branches of philosophy. Then the major branches we have in philosophy are these: metaphysics, epistemology, axiology, and logic. Metaphysics, epistemology, axiology, and logic. So let's begin with metaphysics. You can spell metaphysics metaphysics, metaphysics. So what is metaphysics? Metaphysics is the branch of philosophy that is concerned with the nature of existence, being, and universe. It is the branch of philosophy that is concerned with the nature of existence, being, and the universe. Of course, the word metaphysics came from two Latin two Greek words. It came from two Greek words. Meta. The word meta means beyond. Meta means beyond. And physical means physical things. So metaphysical. So it came from the Greek word metaphysical. So meta means beyond, and physical means physical things. So if you want to understand it better, you can look at this etymological point of view. Metaphysics can now be defined etymologically as the study of that which is beyond physical. As the study of that which is beyond physical. That is why in metaphysics, you have to study things that are beyond the physical universe. Philosophy, metaphysics does, as I told you, that is studying the nature of existence, being an universe. Is studying not the physical level, but below, beyond the foundation of universe and existence. So metaphysics studies those things that are beyond physical. That is why in metaphysics you have to meet topics like soul. The nature of human soul. Is human soul immortal, or does it die with the body? In metaphysics, you have to study about God, nature of God, whether God exists or not. In metaphysics, you have to study about death, about spirits, about ghosts. So metaphysics studies those things that are beyond the physical. It is not just a study of physical things. It is study of first principles, that is foundations, being qua being. Ordinary people may be looking at something, discussing about death. A philosopher is discussing what happens after death. Somebody may be discussing that a shrine has power. Philosopher will be discussing how come that power, how can this physical thing has power, what is the source. So it leaves the physical balance and studies those things that are spiritual, those things that you cannot see, you cannot touch. So whenever we are discussing issues like freedom and determinism, is man free or determined? Is there reincarnation after death? You are now studying metaphysics. When you are talking about existence of God, you are now talking about metaphysics. When you are talking about human soul, you are talking about metaphysics. When you are talking about issues like witches and wizard, witches and wizard, are they myths or reality? You are studying metaphysics. When you talk about Obanje issues, these things are beyond physical. You are studying metaphysics. So metaphysics studies that which is beyond the physical. So various definitions has been given on metaphysics. People have defined it as study of being qua being, study of first cause of things, and the study of that which does not change. Then let's move to epistemology. Epistemology, the second branch of philosophy. The second branch. The word epistemology came from two Greek words, episteme and logos. Episteme and logos. And what is episteme? Episteme means knowledge. Logos means study or theory. Episteme means knowledge. Logos means what? Study or theory. Therefore, epistemology means the study of knowledge or theory of knowledge. The study of knowledge or theory of knowledge. It investigates on the sources of knowledge. It investigates on the sources of knowledge. Nature of knowledge. Differences between knowledge and the belief. Differences between knowledge and the opinion. The purpose of knowledge, among others. So, epistemology means the study of knowledge or theory of knowledge. It investigates on the sources of knowledge, nature of knowledge, differences between knowledge and beliefs, differences between knowledge and opinion, because our opinion is not knowledge. So differences and the purpose of knowledge, among others. So in epistemology, we have major sources of knowledge. Epistemology says that there are sources of knowledge. Number one is the senses. The senses. This is a form of knowledge that comes through the sense organ. Knowledge that comes through the sense organ. So one of the sources of knowledge is senses. The knowledge that through senses we get some kind of knowledge. So, and number two is the intellect. Another source of knowledge, according to epistemology, is what? Intellect. Intellect. This is a form of knowledge which comes through abstract reasoning, not through what you are seeing, but through reasoning. You reach conclusion. You reach conclusion through reasoning. Any knowledge that is derived through knowledge, through reasoning. So intellect can give us what? Knowledge. Another source is intuition. This is a type of knowledge that comes neither from senses or reasoning, but as a flash in the mind. It doesn't come from reasoning or through senses, but as a flash in your mind. Then another source of knowledge is authority. Authority. It is a label testimony given by an expert in a particular field of study. Even though we lack first-hand experience about it, we accept it because of the expertise of that expert in that field. So an authority may make a statement or can serve as a source of knowledge. That is why in many fields of study, you see people quoting professor this, because we believe that by their level and exposure, they will not mislead us. Though today, many do mislead. But authority is a source of what? Knowledge. Another source of knowledge is revealed knowledge. Revealed knowledge. This is the kind of knowledge that is revealed to man by a divine being. The kind of knowledge, not from senses, not from reasoning, but it is revealed to man by divine being, by supreme being. When you look at the scriptures are nothing but revealed knowledge, packaged revealed knowledge. God revealing knowledge to man. Those knowledge are written down as our Bible. So you see that revealed knowledge is a source of what? Knowledge. And then we have two schools of thought in epistemology. This school of thought, two schools of thought, put it down, two schools of thought. We are through with sources of knowledge in epistemology. We want to look at two schools of thought in epistemology. Can you say rationalism? Say rationalism. And then say empiricism. Rationalism and empiricism. Say it. Rationalism and empiricism. So rationalism and empiricism are the two schools of thought we have in epistemology. And these two schools of thought have been a loggerheads. The rationalists argue that knowledge comes from reasoning, that all knowledge comes from reasoning, that any knowledge that does not come from reasoning is not knowledge. While empiricists argued that knowledge comes from the senses, that it is through our sense organs that knowledge is produced, through what we see, what we feel, what we taste, what we hear. Apart from that, there is no other sources of knowledge. So two of them were arguing. The other one senses, the other one reasoning. Reasoning, rationalists argue about reasoning. They believe in reasoning, while empiricists believe in senses. And they have been in loggerhead for long. It was a philosopher called Immanuel Kant that solved their problem. In his Kantian mediation, he mediated between the rationalist and the empiricist. And he says that it is true that knowledge begins with the senses, but it doesn't end with the senses. From what we receive from senses, we then cogitate in the thought process. So, knowledge does not just begin in the senses and end in the senses. It begins in the senses and end in reasoning. Through reasoning, you draw other inferences from what is derived from the senses. That is much we can take about epistemology, the second branch of philosophy. The third branch of philosophy, I want to teach you, the third branch of philosophy is axiology. 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 The word axia, the Greek word axia, means value. So it is from axia and logos that we have axiology. Axia means value. So axiology now means the study of value. The study of values, our value system. So in this axiology, we have ethics. Ethics is the study of what is right and what is wrong. It is study of morality, examining the rightness and wrongness of an action. What makes action to be right or wrong? It examines our behavior, whether it is right or wrong. So it is study of rightness and the wrongness of what? Actions. That is ethics. Whether a particular action is morally right or wrong. What makes actions right or wrong? So we talk about rightness and the wrongness of what? Actions. Then another branch we have in axiology is political philosophy. Political philosophy. So political philosophy is part of axiology, which studies what ought to be or what should be done in politics. It studies what is right and wrong in politics. Political scientists studies what is in politics, while political philosopher studies what ought to be, what should be there. This one, is it right or wrong? And what ought to be done? While political scientists studies what really happened. He studies facts. The philosopher studies value in politics. He studies value in politics. So that is why Political philosophy is not the same as political science. Not the same as political science. So they are quite different. Then another aspect of axiology, the third one, is aesthetics. Aesthetics. Aesthetics means the study of beauty. The study of beauty. It asks questions. What is beauty and what is ugly? Is beauty universal, that is objective, or is it subjective, depending on the eyes of the beholder? Is beauty, is somebody is beauty, is she beautiful to everybody, or does her being beautiful depends on certain individuals? You can agree with me that somebody may be beautiful to me, but to you, she is ugly. What are the criteria to say that somebody is beautiful? What are the qualifications for somebody to be beautiful? Aristotle will tell you that there is mean, that whatever that is excess is not good. Whatever that is deficient is not good. It must be middle part. If you are too tall, you are ugly. if you are too short, you are ugly. It must be in between. If you are too fair, it is ugly. If you are too dark, it is not ugly. It must be within the golden mean. So it mustn't be excess. It mustn't be deficient. And Plato will tell you that beauty is conformity of anything to its water form. That anything we are seeing here exists in water form. That the physical things we are seeing, whatever we are seeing here are carbon copy of their reality in the water form. So their beauty depends on how they conform to the reality in the water form. Kant will tell you that beauty is object that gives presentness to the people. Whatever that gives presentness, that is present, when you look at it, it gives you joy. That is beauty. So there are various conceptions of beauty. So aesthetics is a branch of axiology that studies about beauty. It looks at what is beauty. Then, when I teach you, I talk about ethics. There are some ethical principles I ought to highlight. So let us go back. I have taught you metaphysics. I have taught you epistemology. I have taught you axiology. Under axiology, we have ethics, we have political philosophy, we have aesthetics. Then I have told you that ethics is the study of what is right and wrong, study of morality. Then there are some aspects of ethics I want to highlight now, or major theories we have in ethics. Number one is Epicureanism, a theory in ethics. Remember that I go back to, I just move back to ethics, because there are some theories I ought to teach you or highlight, but I didn't mention them. Let me mention them now. Ethics is study of what is right and wrong, study of morality. Then we have many theories in ethics. The major ones include Epicureanism. Epicureanism is that theory which holds that summum bonum, that is the highest good, is pleasure. We should avoid pain and pursue pleasure. But any pleasure that will later end in pain is not good. So this Epicureanism was founded by the man called Epicurus. The second one is hedonism. Hedonism talk about maximizing pleasure and minimizing pain. Whatever you are doing, you try to maximize pleasure and minimize pain. Now that is the right thing to do. We have stoicism. Stoicism emphasizes that good life is ability of one to control his emotion towards events which he cannot change. Good life is ability to control your emotions towards events you cannot control. According to stoicists, certain aspects of our life we cannot change them, but we can control our emotions towards them. And that is why they always say that tough time never lasts, but tough people do. Tough time never lasts, but tough people do. So no matter the condition you have yourself, what is moral in that situation is you controlling your emotion and not to over worry and over stress yourself psychologically and mentally as a result of that circumstance or condition. Then we also have consequentialism. Consequentialism says that it is the consequence of an action, of our action, that determines whether that action is good or bad. That is the end that justifies whether action are the good or bad. So if you are the consequence of your action produces good result, thank God it is good. If it produces bad result, it is not good. But in certain aspect of our life, we don't know the consequence. Many times you may assume that your action may produce a favorable result. At the end, it will produce a nasty result. So you see that this consequentialism is not easy to go by most often. Then we have number 5, utilitarianism. Utilitarianism. Say utilitarianism. What is utilitarianism? Utilitarianism is ethical theory that emphasizes that an action is good if it produces greater happiness to greater number of persons. If it produces greater happiness to greater number of people. So the number of people that your action will make to be happy must be greater than those that it will cause pain. So if the number of people that your action will make happy are greater than the number of people that will suffer as a result of your action, utilitarianists will tell you that that action is good. Among utilitarianists, we have Jeremy Bentham. Among utilitarianists, we have Jeremy Bentham. We have John Stuart Mill. They were the ones that propounded this ethical theory, utilitarianism. Then we have the ontological ethics by Immanuel Kant. The ontological ethics by Immanuel Kant. According to Immanuel Kant, an action is good if it comes from goodwill, and for him, goodwill is that thing that is done not because of what you will gain, not because of any selfish purpose, but as a matter of duty, that this is what you're supposed to do. You do it not because of what you are going to gain. So any action that is done out of selfish inclination, Immanuel Kant will tell you that that action is morally wrong. For an action to be moral right, it must come out of goodwill and sense of duty. You must have good heart. You must do it with good heart, and also that this is what I ought to do, not because of you are not doing it because of what you are going to gain, because of selfish inclination. But this is what I'm supposed to do. This is my duty, and I'm doing it. And I'm doing it with good heart, even though that it may harm somebody. In examination, some of you will write this examination. Some will wish to pass, but at the end, they will fail. And they may be abusing this lecturer, that this lecturer, Dr. Linus Akudolu, canon, that man is very wicked. They are expecting me to pass them, and whether they know it or not. But if I pass them, it is not good, because they will cause harm tomorrow. Me failing them, I have not done them any evil because I'm doing my duty. And I'm not doing it with selfish purpose or to victimize you. I'm doing it because this is what I ought to do. If you don't get up to 40%, you will fail. As a matter of duty, I have to fail you. And if I fail you, not because I have anything against you or selfish inclination or purpose, but because you are not qualified. Are you getting it? At the same time, I may look at number of people that fail and say, okay, let me pass some of them to reduce the failure. I'm doing it with good heart, not because I will get anything from you. But if I happen to pass a student that failed because of what I will get them from you, that is morally wrong. But if I pass a student that failed as a matter of duty, Emmanuel Kant will tell you, as a matter of me doing my duty, I have looked at the result. The number that failed is much, and I need to reduce. I look at those that get maybe 35 and pass them. I'm doing it with pure hearts, with goodwill. So Emmanuel Kant will say that this is good action. I have not done anything wrong. But if I pass somebody, maybe that I will get something from you, it is wrong. You see the ontological ethics of Immanuel Kant. We also have theological ethics of St. Augustine. Theological ethics of St. Augustine. According to St. Augustine, theological ethics means ethics that is based on God or the scripture. St. Augustine look at the word and asks, what is that is good? And he said that the good life for man, the chief good, the highest good that man must do is to love God. And how did he arrive at that? According to him, man is not only body, man is body and soul. And whatever that will be the highest good for man must be that thing that is superior to man. Because anyone that is pursuing what is inferior to himself makes himself inferior. That is why idol worshippers are fools. When you worship something that you made, something that you are superior to, you are a fool. A man should pursue what is greater than him. And what is greater than man? There is nothing except God. He said that man is not only body. If you pursue those things that will give pleasure to your body, how about the soul? What you must pursue to be your highest good is that which will give satisfaction to the body and to the soul. And after his critical examination, he found out that the only thing that is superior to man and can give satisfaction to the body, sustain the body, preserve the body, as well as the soul, is God. And he therefore says that the love of God is the highest good. You must love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with everything in you. He talked about misdirected love. Misdirected love is when instead of loving God, you are now loving material things, loving the mundane things of the world. You have left God, the spirit being, the person that is superior to you, superior to your soul, that can sustain your body and soul, and you are loving those things that are inferior to you, those things that are junior, those things that are mundane, materialism and things of the world, carnality, sexual pleasure, and all those things. You have already misdirected your love. You have left what ought to be done, and you are now doing the wrong ones. man should love God with all his heart, with all his soul. And if you love God with all your heart and all your soul and everything in you, you must obey his commandments. You must always endeavor to make him happy. You must avoid sinful life. And you must go and live and direct your step according to his scripture and make him happy. And when you do so, there is a kind of peace that you will have within you. A kind of satisfaction. A kind of satisfaction. So that is it. Then I have taught you about the three branches of philosophy. It is remaining one. I have taught you metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, axiology. Under axiology, we have ethics, political philosophy, and the aesthetics. Then I want to move to the fourth branch of philosophy, and that is logic. Logic. The word logic comes from the Greek word logos, meaning reasoning, justification, or rationale. So logic is the branch of philosophy that deals with the method, rules, and principles of correct reasoning or argument. Logic is the branch of philosophy that deals with the method, rules, and the principles of correct reasoning or arguments. And logic is very important because it helps one to distinguish correct from incorrect reasoning, sound from unsound argument. It helps one to reason consistently and systematically. It helps one to reason consistently and systematically and be able to identify inconsistencies, loopholes, and fallacies in his opponent's arguments. So this is it. We have other branches in philosophy, but these are the major ones. We have other branches. Other branches we have in philosophy include philosophy of science, philosophy of history, philosophy of language, where we examine issues in language, philosophy of education, philosophy of religion, philosophy of labor, philosophy of environment, philosophy of development, among others. So philosophy touches every aspect of a course, because the first course in existence was philosophy. Every knowledge in the beginning was under philosophy. Anybody that was investigating, pursuing knowledge, that loved wisdom and pursuing to know more during the ancient time was characterized as a philosopher. So in ancient time, it was only one course that was in existence, that was philosophy. That is why even if you get PhD in economics, chemistry, any other course, it is doctor of philosophy in chemistry or economics. So it was later that other branches, other parts, other subjects started emanating, separating from philosophy. The first one that separated from philosophy was medicine. That was the first. Then medicine, religion, and then others started emanating. The last that just emanated in just a few decades ago was psychology. So all courses emanated from philosophy. That is why philosophy is the foundation of all courses. Philosophy is the foundation of all courses. And that is why you, no matter the course you are doing, you need the knowledge of philosophy and logic to do well in that course. And that is why in Niger University, before you finish your study, especially those in humanities, you must do philosophy and logic, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not. So you can see that philosophy is a very important course. Very important course. Hope you are still with me, or are you tired? So, okay, I think we have done so much things today. But before we conclude, let me dig deeper or more on history of philosophy. History of philosophy. Many philosophers have argued that philosophy, many scholars argue that philosophy emanated from Greek countries. Some say that it came from Egypt, that Egypt was the center of civilization. But the truth is that philosophy cannot be said to have a definite origin that is known with certainty. If it must be said that philosophy has an origin, then it will be said to have originated with man, because it is a well-known fact that philosophy erupted out of curiosity and wonder of humans, out of curiosity and wonder of human. Insofar as philosophy has to do with rationality, it cannot be said to start with this person or at a definite place. It must start. It started with the first man. When the first man was created, he must have asked, where did I come here? Who created me? He started reasoning. So philosophy cannot be said to have a definite origin or location where it started. So it is a Western philosophy that we can say to have origin. The one that was written, the Western philosophy. So it is this Western philosophy that could be said to have originated in the definite place and time. Western philosophy has recorded in many write-ups originated from Greece, but not in Athens, the headquarters of Greek mainland, but Miletus, a town located across the Aegean Sea from Athens on the western shore of Ionia. That is why the ancient philosophers were called Milesians or Ionians. It originated roughly in 624 BC, before Jesus Christ was born. 624. So you can see that philosophy was an ancient course. It was an ancient course. When I come next, I will teach you about early Western philosophers and their philosophies. Early Western philosophers, I will teach you about Thales, Anaximander, Heraclitus, Democritus, and many others, Protagoras, and we have to examine their philosophies. So after examining their philosophy, then we touch other part of philosophy, then we move to logic. When you return, I will give you a reading material that will help you. I will compile it myself, organize it in such a way that if you read it, you understand it. So thank you, and may God bless you. I remain your lecturer and your pastor, Reverend Canon Dr. Linus Akudolu. Thank you. When we will come back, if you have any question, you bring it forth. May God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.